Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. My name is T.J. Jackson, and with me is my eldest brother, Taj Jackson.
What's up, TJ?
How are you, my big bro?
Good. Doing well. I'm a
Very,
little under the
very.
weather, but I'm good.
You sound good.
I
You
did
don't
good.
sound. Yeah, you don't sound sick at all. We are live, of course, on Facebook and YouTube currently, but you also may be listening to us via podcast. That is correct. All of our episodes of the Power of Love show, they are in the hundreds now, are on all your major streaming podcast platforms. So if you cannot watch this live, or if you have a long drive and you want to catch up on some episodes, consider subscribing to our podcast and checking out some episodes that way. Of course, the Power of Love show is all about helping you, helping us understand how to get through difficult moments in life. We hope it's inspirational. Every single episode inspires you and helps you learn and become more educated in this space of loss and grief and obstacles and struggles and trauma and all those good things. And the reason why we wanted to do this show to begin with is because we felt there was a dearth. Taj, quick question: what's a dearth, or what's dearth?
I have no idea, and I
Of
wouldn't have
course you
used.
don't. That's why I'm putting you on the spot,
Yeah,
because you're going to
it's not a
learn
word
today
that
too.
would ever enter my vocabulary. But go ahead.
I think
Tell me what
first
it
of
is.
all, let me make sure I'm saying it right. And maybe Joanna, because like I think Joanna is that okay? No, but anyways, there is a lack of dearth, a lack of content, in my opinion. I think Taj would agree. Of stuff to help you guys and help us get through difficult moments in our lives. We've made it no secret, at least I have, about my own personal struggles on finding some type of content to help me get through the passing and the murder of my mother. Todd, I don't think you've really talked about struggling finding extra content, right? Because you are more reliant on people, or what?
No, I kind of made do with. I got two books. One was Who Moved My Cheese,
Mm-hmm.
and the which interpreted to mean grief and loss and everything like that. When I didn't, there wasn't at that time really a grief book
Yeah.
in that way where I could just kind of hang on to in that way. So I really had to interpret a couple, and a four agreements I think was the other one that I got. And
Okay.
it was more of like self help and in that way, or overcoming obstacles. So it really, that's kind of what I kind of translated into helping me out, but nothing, yeah, like that we have now. In that way, we have
Well,
excellent resources.
both of those books are fantastic books. I really like Four Agreements, but those aren't really grief specific. And I know for you that it helped you, but I was a big reader at the time of losing mom, and I was, books there. I always thought there were books on everything, and there were a couple of books, but they didn't hit me. And I'm happy and that we at the Power of Love show, and Taj, myself, Terrell, and our whole foundation have been able to bring episodes with different authors on different topics of grief. So if anyone who is watching this or anyone from our community needs some type of literature that can help them get through their struggles, it's there. And that was a big incentive for doing the Power of Love show that we wanted to do. So today's show is no different. We have a wonderful author. I'm not going to go through the intro of that wonderful author just yet, because first I need to find out. Oh, I was going to say I need to find out how Taj's week went, but first guess I should do this disclaimer. And
Yeah.
that is that we are not licensed therapists. We are just ordinary people who've experienced loss in our lives. We've been impacted by it, and we have learned from it. And we like to share our opinions in an attempt to help you get through whatever it is you are going through. Saying that, if you need professional help, we urge you to seek it and to find it. Please do not just rely on us. Now, Taj, that the disclaimer has been read, I would like to know how your week was.
Uh, The week. I mean, the week was good. Just I had a birthday party, not from
Mm-hmm.
a friend's birthday party. Obviously, I don't even know if we want to discuss it, but there was the big
Mm-hmm.
news of one of our cousins is going to be in a big role,
Yeah.
huge role, and we were all beaming with pride, seeing it. But that was an amazing, amazing experience in general. And,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Go ahead. No, that was, I think, the highlight for both
Yeah,
of
that
us.
was a highlight for the week, 100%. And then after that, I got sick. So my
Oh,
daughter got
goodness.
it. What I don't even know what the percentage is, but once one of your kids gets sick, it's like you might as well just like give in because it's just a matter of time. I escaped the first round like a couple months ago, and I thought I could do it this time. It just wasn't happening.
Well, Taj, my week was obviously the great family get together we had on Sunday was wonderful. And then I'm trying to think what else I did. Nothing super exciting that deserves mention. But one thing I do want to share is a super chat we got from Lala Chan.
Nice.
And thank you so much, Lala Chan. She says, would like to say hello to TJ and Taj. It's been a year that my mother passed, thanks to my Yorkie Blue. He's
Mm,
been a lot of help healing, sending love and support. Uh, First of all, our condolences to you, Lala Chan. I know it's been a year, as you said, but grief has a way of staying around and being part of our lives. We hope you are doing okay and learning to live with the grief. I also want to say and give a shout out to your Yorkie because dogs are, to me, one of the most precious animals, especially when it comes to helping us with emotional support and getting through difficult things in life. So, shout out to your Yorkie. I've made it no secret that my dog was a huge, huge, huge support system for myself during my most difficult time. So, dogs are amazing in that way. But again, Lala Chan, again, thank you for this the super chat and for supporting the Dee Dee Jackson Foundation. Taj Jackson, is there anything else I need to say before we start to welcome our wonderful, wonderful guest?
no, let's get into it.
All right, it's time. So, on today's episode, everyone, we are going to be welcoming special guest and author Joanna P.A Moore. Born in 1974 and raised in London, England, Joanna is a British Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy, or BACP qualified and registered therapeutic counselor, who runs her own private practice in Fulham. I hope I'm saying the city right. I've always uh I see Joanna smiling, so I think I may have butchered the name, but she'll let us know. Oh, she gave me a thumbs up, so I guess I said it okay. Okay. Anyways, Joanna has also done over 18 years of experience working in inner city areas as a youth worker and program manager with young people ages 8 to 21, supporting their development and life skills through informal learning. Joanna was inspired to write her book, Love is the Gift, supporting children through bereavement after the death of a very significant and influential person in her life in 2017. Christina was like a second mother to her. Also, personally living with a rare life threatening condition known as Addison's disease since 2009 and having two small children of her own, Joanna felt that there was not enough literature out there to support her own children through the difficult feelings surrounding death. I just said this. It's a very true thing. And we're still not to the point where I feel we have enough. But we're getting there thanks to people like Joanna. Anyway, she also wanted to create a tool that could help her own children and others. She embarked on creating this beautiful and poetic story about Alana the mermaid. So here to discuss her book, Love is the Gift, supporting children through bereavement. Without further ado, everyone, please welcome to the Power of Love show, Joanna P.A Moore. Hey, there you are. How are you, Joanna?
Oh, very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Joanna, did I butcher the city name? It's Fulham, right?
No, you did fantastically. You didn't
Okay.
butcher anything.
All right. I don't know how I knew that, but as an American, when you see the spelling Fulham, our instincts is Fulham. But I think someone has already laughed at me for saying it like that, so that I made a mental note to say it as Fulham. But anyways, thanks again on behalf of my brother Taj with us and the whole foundation. We're excited to have you. I am going to ask some tough questions. I hope that's okay. But I would love to know, when you had lost Christina, who was like a second mother to you, what inspired you to channel your grief into art and write a book to help children through their grief?
Well, I think when you lose somebody that you really love and you really care, it brings up a lot of feelings for you. And, Christina, like I said, she was like a second mother to me. She wasn't blood. And I think that really kind of shows you that somebody to impact you in a really powerful way doesn't have to be your blood. But when she died, and kind of reflecting on that, is it wasn't the grief that I had for her wasn't, it was painful, but it wasn't a negative grief. I think usually people associate grief with negative feelings and difficulties. But I think for me, the grief was really around celebrating love.
Mm.
She's older than my mother. She could have been my grandmother. She was 87 when she passed. And, cut a long story short, she knew me ever since I was in my mother's stomach. And she cared and supported in caring for me when she was in the UK. When her own mother passed away, she went back to Spain. And in going back to Spain, because we had created family with her, coming from two parents that had come from other countries to live in the UK. My mother's Slovenian and my father's Iranian, and they met here. And that just shows you what a cosmopolitan city London is. But there's a lack of a mass community of family when people travel to another destination. So you end up creating family with other people. And when she went back to Spain, she just basically send her to me every summer. I'll have her here. So for my whole life, I was going to Spain and spending all my summer holidays over there. And then the latter part of her years, as she got older, I was going there with my husband and I was going there with my children. And there wouldn't have been another holiday destination that we would have gone to, because I knew that she was getting old and I knew that time would come soon. And I've been through a considerable amount of grief and loss throughout my life.
Yeah.
Come to actually a point and a stage in my life that I have a respect for death. Old age is not a rite of passage. And, I feel very blessed that I got to spend such a long time with this woman, because not everybody does.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, so when we lost our mother, my brothers and I, we were distraught as can be. And, our family, our father, of course, our grandmother, and also our Uncle Michael really inspired us to put our grief and emotion into our music, which was our art. So I love to, how did you get from losing Christina, a significant person in your life, to deciding to actually write a book? How did that happen?
So I've always, ever since I was a little child, I wanted to write books. And the thing is that being dyslexic and struggling to read and struggling to write, that did not look like it was going to happen. And, you have children experience quite a lot of cruelty as well from other adults sometimes, that make you feel that you're not, lower your confidence levels and your sense of self-esteem in what you can and can't do. I'm quite a stubborn character, so I tend to push through things. But, I have written a book before. I've never published it, but I wanted the book that I wrote to actually mean something and to impact people. I wanted to be able to create a difference. And I thought to myself, I have things that I can offer. Not only do I want to offer like a book that I can leave behind for my children that could support them in their life, but I have a ton of knowledge and skills through my work as a counselor, as working with young people for 18 years. Like, I don't want to just write a book. I want to write something that I feel that represents something and actually makes a difference. And I feel like that's something that could be really useful to somebody.
Yeah.
So,
Did writing the book help change or age your own grief at all? And if so, how?
writing how you feel is a really healing experience for a lot of people who enjoy writing. If you don't enjoy writing, then maybe not. But I wouldn't be the first person to hear that writing your thoughts down, writing your feelings down actually is an experience. And I wrote from the heart. Everything that I put into my book came from my love and my experiences of grief. And, if you read the book, it does talk about death. There is the loss of the grandmother. The grandmother is sick. She supports the little girl in the story because she doesn't understand what's going on. She's comfortable with her own death and her mortality, supports her granddaughter through it, and eventually the grandmother comes to pass, and the mother is there to support her. And there's a process in it, but the whole process is done softly and gently. It doesn't have to be hard. Like, this isn't like, I had one parent that gave the book to their child to read, and she was really concerned, and the child was concerned that she would have negative feelings from reading and going and touching anything that had anything to do with death. And she was so surprised, the mother, to find that actually reading the book had really enlightened her in a way that it made her feel really creative, and she wanted to go and write poetry, and she started writing poetry for herself. So there's such a great fear. People are because it's so painful and it's such a scary place, and so many adults don't even want to think about what that means to them. They don't talk about it. And then the one sure thing in life is death. And unfortunately, we don't know how, when, what age.
Yeah.
So, it can be really shocking and devastating, especially when you're not prepared for it. And we just don't talk about it.
That's why whenever authors write books, I always get excited, because it's super important to be able to tell your story and to give a story for someone to cling on to. And I appreciate you, because you're doing a book for families to connect an open line of communication. So you also had your own diagnosis of Addison's disease and your own small children in mind while you're writing the book. I'm curious to know, did it help open a line of communication for them as well? And you kind of mentioned this, so I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it directly. Is that your hope for families to be able to read your book and to be able to talk about loss and grief utilizing your book?
The answer certainly is yes. It's there to support people, because adults really struggle to make the conversation. I think foremost, before I say anything, I think my greatest hope is that they would have literature about grief and bereavement on the bookshelf along with other literature. It's a lot easier to explore grief and children's feelings, and they've got a whole bag of ideas and thoughts and feelings that parents don't even dare to ask them because they feel uncomfortable. But if you can open that space, you don't need to talk about death all the time, but if you open a small window where you can talk about grief and you can talk about death and what those feelings might be when you're not in the heart of a massive experience or a bereavement, then it just opens that space and it just opens that dialogue.
That's great. It's important. It's really important. So one thing you did that was really cool. I'll just ask the question. I'd love to hear more about your choice to set I don't even know the proper term from an author's perspective, but you set it in the water with Alana the Mermaid. Can you tell us your decision to make it kind of having to do with water and the mermaid? Was there anything behind that? Is it just something you've always loved? And then I'd also love if you could read a passage from the book.
Sure. Um, Mum, I love everything. I'm a big child at heart, to be totally honest.
It's beautiful.
And I love everything magical and fantasy, and and as a child, as a dyslexic child, illustrations are really important to engage your kind of interest. And my daughter loves all things mermaid and magical. So I not only wanted my first book to sort of like have meaning and be able to support children, but I wanted it to kind of have me in it the whole way through, even from, if you look at the pictures, like the family is my family. Like they don't look exactly the same, and none of us have tails, but it's my family put together in a book. So that's my daughter and that's my son in the book, and that's my husband in the end of the story. And I wanted that little thread of connection as well, that if I wasn't here, then they would also have this, and there would be a little piece of me and them there, and that message in the story would be as much for them to pick up, whether they be an adult or a child.
Love it. Is it possible for you, Joanna, to read a passage from the book?
Just any passage?
Yeah. Is there a passage in mind? Did I kind of put you on the spot? I
You
apologize.
did. You did.
I,
You didn't mention it before, yeah.
I apologize on my brother for not relaying to you. Yeah, if I put you on the spot too much, but if there's a passage you really like, I would love for you to. And if you want more time, you could take that time to find something.
No,
you ready?
I'm prepared.
Let's do it. I'd love to hear a bit about it.
All right, so I'm going sort of to the middle and to the end of the book, but I'll just read these 2 pages. The day came soon when Granny got weak. Conversation was gone as she required more sleep. Until that one moment where Mum knocked on my door, then sat on my bed and hugged me some more. Granny has left us and she's gone to the sky, taking her spirit, leaving her body behind. I wept on Mum's shoulder because I knew what this meant. I knew that this time I would never see her again. I knew in my heart that she went to a beautiful place, that this home on earth was no longer her space. I felt sad and bewildered and often quite cross, but recovered, remembering that not all was lost, that somewhere out there in the heavens above, she was shining on me with all that heavenly love. I love you, dear Granny, and for this it is true. I'm filled with the treasures of always loving you.
That's beautiful.
Love it.
That's beautiful. You know what I love about it? It seems very personal and real, and I think the takeaway for many people out there is to write your story, write what's in your heart about, and don't be afraid of saying what's in your heart and expressing it, because a lot of people can relate to it. I have a question, Joanna. Do you think that all the years you worked with youth helped you to understand why children might need a resource like this, and how also to write it in a way that would resonate with our youth out there?
So, yes, being a youth worker and spending 18 years working with young people certainly opens your mind to the needs of young people and children. But, what you were talking about earlier on, about having enough resources out there. Children are not generic. They don't all work the same way. They don't think the same way. They don't learn the same way, you know. So to think that just one resource for a child is going to, that's good, give that to them and they'll be good, is just such a closed way of thinking. And actually, I think we need more children books. Children are sort of the forgotten grievers here. You know, adults are really good at making a noise about how they're feeling, but the children get forgotten. Their voice gets forgotten. You know, but by the time of under the age of 10, I'd already experienced 4 bereavements within the family. You know, in the UK, I don't know what the stats are in the US, but in the UK, you know, 1 out of every 20 children lose their a parent by the age of 16.
Wow.
And we're not even talking about grandparents or uncles or aunts or siblings or really close family members. You know, that's just a parent. So children do need support. They do need resources. And, you know, my book is one book, but it might not be for your child, and it might be that you need another book. So I certainly encourage more books. You know, this might not be right for somebody because, you know, I refer to heaven in it, and that might not work for somebody or somebody's family. You know, and if you've got sort of if you've got somebody neurodiverse in their family, some of the language might not be sort of like real enough because it's created with a sort of like a fantasy illusion of, I've got mermaid in this. So if you don't want that and you want slightly clearer conversation, but I think, you know, it's sometimes a lot easier if you're gonna have a book that you have something else to direct it onto and it to be slightly lighter, because it makes the conversation safer to have with the child. And that's what you want to create, a safe space. And that's what children across the board need. That I know is one need, a sense of safety and to feel secure in their environment. That and learning and what their needs are. I mean, you've just said it between both of you. You dealt with the loss of your mother differently. You had different needs. So it's just being open to the conversation and respectful that children also require different things. So more of it.
Yeah. And to go to your point, Sarah says, I needed this book when I was 7. So many kids do. You're 100% correct. There's kids out there. I think you said 1 out of 20 by the age of 16 are going to lose a parent or lose parents. And you're right. They're kind of forgotten. And it's up to us as the adults to make sure we have these resources that they can relate to and can open up kind of on their terms and kind of understand, help them get through the process or understand how to handle the process. When you were, by the way, reading the passage, there were some fun comments that I should have been posting while you're doing it. My Life, My Hurdles, and My Survival says, this proves everything sounds better in a British accent. Signed, a fellow Brit. I think she is right. It just seems more, what's the term, Taj? It seems more like, I don't know. It's just more magical. I don't know. Lady Maestra says that was so beautiful. Jack Lowe says that's beautiful, as does Caitlin. And Jennifer says Joanna's voice is so lyrical, like a musical instrument. That was beautiful, beautiful. So a lot of love in what you wrote and how you wrote it. Well done there.
For me, it felt so natural, which is what was so amazing. Like you had been writing books for 10, 20 years about them in that way, because it came straight from the heart, as you mentioned. And there's something magical and unique about that. And I love how you put it to the mermaid thing, because that would be the kind of book that would attract me. Even I'm a big kid too, so even so, you know, in that way, it's just those are the kind of things that I am attracted to.
Joanna, what's been the most rewarding part of releasing the book into the world?
Well, it's really lovely to know that it kind of touches people. You know, I kind of said the other day, if it just makes a difference for one child, then I'm happy. I'm good. I'm good. You know, and it's so nice when you get the comments back. I've had teachers that have read it out in a classroom and they've kind of asked the author questions. And it's lovely to see how curious they are to talk about death. And that space is never opened for them. You know, and it's lovely to kind of, I had one teacher that wanted to read it with the classroom, but because she had a child, I think around the age of 9 that had recently lost somebody, she kept that as a special book to read with her child. And it really created the platform for her to feel safe, that it was okay to have a conversation about how she was feeling with that teacher. So, you know, when you hear things like that come back, it's really kind of heartwarming, because that was the whole purpose of it. So, you know, to hear the feedback and the feedback coming from the children directly is massive. And it's nice to also know that actually adults have picked up the book and got a lot from it. So
Pamela says, this is true. We are so involved with our own grief that we don't realize that our kids are hurting as well. Paula says, as a children's book author, Joanna, I absolutely agree. Books on grief and social emotional learning is needed. Sarah wants to know if there's a passage in there in your book about coping with illness, or is it a story of strictly bereavement?
I mean, in the story, the grandmother she's old and her body is coming to an end, basically. And you know, Ilana doesn't really kind of understand what is going on, and starts to get the gist that her grandmother's not going to be around for very much longer. So it doesn't specifically pull out an illness and discuss it, but it is the run up to somebody winding down with life and coming to an end.
It's very important. We all go through that. Someone's going through that right now, that experience, and that's something that will always be something we need. We're going to have to be going through. Joanna, this is the only book you've written so far?
Oh, this is the only book I've published.
She had one prior book.
Okay. Only published. Are you considering publishing more children's books?
I am, yes.
Okay. I don't know your topics, but this next question, Jennifer says, we need a book for grandparents who lose grandchildren. I'm trying to find one for my 90-year-old cousin who lost her grandson 2 weeks ago at the age of 21. Jennifer, we are all sending you condolences to your grandmother. But I should, or grandparent, I should say, the grandparent. But go ahead, Joanna. Were you going to say something about?
You know, the loss of a child it's an even harder topic, and it becomes that unspoken, we cannot talk about death, gets even bigger. And, you know, people become frightened. They don't want to hurt people, so they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to. There is no way through this. It is going to be painful. Grief is painful. And if you lost your child, I mean, it sounds like to me one of the biggest pains that anybody could go through. I can't even envisage that, and people do go through it. So I certainly agree that we do need, there needs to be more books for the loss of children and the loss for children losing their siblings.
What do you think it is specifically about books that give it so much power in helping people heal?
It's about connection, isn't it? You know, we're so varied, and you know, my book might not work for everybody, but I think it's about how we connect. And grief is so vast, you know, it depends. Like if I think about all the people that I have lost, you know, the experience of grief has been very different for different people, whether it's been an instant death and I've been shocked by it, to whether it is a person who is relatively old, or whether it's somebody who is young and you feel like, crumbs, I wasn't expecting that. I had so much to say to you. Like, it really kind of tells you, do not, if you care about somebody, if you love somebody, if you have friends that you need to reach out to and you haven't for years, don't waste your time in thinking tomorrow is going to be the right time to do it, because tomorrow might not happen. And I think people just yes, we get sucked into life and we kind of forget what's going on. But I think we just don't talk about death enough, to kind of so scared about it that, that those things are kind of heart-wrenching. But it depends on what your experience is, who it is, to how you feel, whether you're angry, or sad, or, whatever the case is. So each death brings up a lot of different feelings, and different feelings for different people. Somebody could really connect with the person that died, and a sibling might hate that person, really have a bad feeling, and their grief is different. So we just can't paint everybody with one brush. There's no right or wrong way to do it. We don't get over grief. That's my belief. We live with it. It is, we live to live differently without the people that we love in our life, but there isn't a getting over it. There is a living, and living happily, and living with purpose, and living with hope, and living with gratitude, and hopefully getting to a point of celebrating the person that you have no longer.
Well said. Well, very well said. Sarah says, what a gift to have an adult sit down and open that dialogue with children in a way they can receive from, as opposed to trying to shield children from grief. So vital to welcome that conversation. That's why I love these kind of children books, and I truly commend people like you who take your time to write these books. Jennifer says, children's books are a challenge to write. My friend just published one and shared her challenges. I commend you, Joanna P.A. Moore, for writing and publishing your book. Adrienne says, I agree. Writing your feelings on paper is very therapeutic. And then Jack Love has a comment about the book cover. I'm sorry, I just turned it over, didn't I? That's a beautiful book cover. I love mermaids and dolphins. And there's the cover again. Once again, you know what? I could just put it up. I know I'm a little bit all over the place with the banners if you're watching, but I wanted to make sure we inform everyone where they can get the book. Obviously, Amazon.com is one place where you can get Love is the Gift, Supporting Children Through Bereavement. The book with our guest, the book written by our guest, Joanna P.A. Moore. Is there another place that they should go to get the book, or is Amazon's the best spot? Or is the website, does that work as well?
I would suggest, if you're in the States, get it from Amazon, because otherwise it would be coming from the UK, and that will take a very long time to get to the States. So if you want to copy rapidly, I think Amazon from the States would be the best bet.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, before we give you, I did warn you that Taj and I like to give our guest the last word, to say whatever they want to say for about a minute or so towards the end of our talk. But I would love to know if you want to share how people can learn more about you, or find out about you, or write to you, any of those kind of information. I'd love to share it at this time with the community.
So the best way to find out more about me is just to go onto my website, and you can reach me on my website. So that would be the easiest way. I mean, obviously I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, so you can connect with me there as well.
Okay. So let me just, and that's JoannaPAMoore.com. That is JoannaPAMoore.com. And then the Instagram is at Love is the Gift. Exactly how it would sound. It is spelled Love is the Gift. And that is also the handle for Facebook if you're more on Facebook. And then on YouTube, it's just Joanna P.A. Moore. Twitter is Joanna P.A Moore 1. So I think we gave out all the important information. How about the email address? Can I post that up too, Joanna?
Sure.
Okay. I have to be careful. I don't I want to make sure some people's emails are private. So I want to make sure, but or you can email if you want to know more about Joanna's book and what Joanna does. You can email at info@joannapamore.com. Joanna, did I leave anything out? And then the second question is for you, Taj. Was there any other questions I may have left out that you would want to hit on that I missed?
I saw in one of the comments they were asking, is the book in German? So I was just wondering, is it in other languages or will it be in other languages? Have you thought about that?
It's not in any other language. And the reason why it's not in any other language is because it's written in rhyme.
Mm.
So it would be really
It would
difficult.
lose its effect. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know how to do that. So
Yeah. And my second question, in terms of, because I always ask this question, are you thinking ever of doing an audio version of your book? Because you have such a lovely voice, and
thank you.
and you just mentioned about rhyme and all that stuff, and your
When you said the lovely voice, I automatically always assumed that the British accent was best as the sort of like, not the police officer, the cool criminal that always gets away, the mastermind.
Oh,
Don't they always have the British voice?
I love it. No, that's not what we think of.
Well, to Taj's defense, Jennifer says, Taj, the book is only in paper, not Audible. Ask her to record it.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So I mean, our comments, we always check out the comments, and so many people. It's funny because there's like a side conversation going on while we're talking with our guests. So anyone who's listening on podcasts, maybe consider also watching on Facebook or YouTube so you can see some of the comments. But they're all raving about your voice. You really do have a wonderful voice, Joanna. And I don't think it's just the voice, it's the tempo of the voice. You know, you speak at a very nice pace that feels secure and with love. And I think that's where everyone's coming from. That it would maybe be cool to hear it as an Audible book at some point. I know it's not the easiest to go down all those treks, languages and Audible and different formats and stuff, but at some point it could be cool because your voice is that great.
Thank you. I mean, to do an Audible book wouldn't be a problem, but to do the different languages because of the rhyme in it, I think that would be far too challenging. I think you just lose the context of it then.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So there we go, Joanna. It's that time where we are going to give you a minute and a half, however much time you need, really, to relay to our community whatever it is you want to relay to them. It could be on topic. It could be completely off topic. It could be about sharing your favorite cooking recipe or a poem or a TV show you just fell in love with that we're all sleeping on. Whatever you want to share with our community, we like to give our guests that opportunity to share with us something that they feel is worth sharing. So the floor is yours.
Well, it won't be a cooking recipe, although cooking. Haven't prepared that. I mean, to be totally honest with you, all I can say is that there is no right or wrong way to grieve. There is no length of time. It's grief is a difficult experience, and it can take time to heal from it. But there is hope, and there is movement, and there is growth, and there is light. And I think, there's something in the fact that this show is called The Power of Love. My book is called Love is the Gift. I think the key in that we kind of strand into is that love has a great importance in any healing. And it's not only about loving other people, but it really is about loving yourself also, and being kind to yourself, and also forgiving yourself and being able to let go of certain things that can sometimes be hard to let go of.
Well said. Thank you for that so much, Joanna. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Joanna P.A Moore. The book is called Love is the Gift, available on Amazon.com. Check it out. And again, you could check out Joanna on Instagram at Love is the Gift, as well as Facebook, Love is the Gift. You can also go simply to the website, which is joannapamore.com, or on Twitter, Joanna P.A Moore 1. Joanna, I have to say, on behalf of my brother Taj and the whole foundation, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for adding to the collection of things out there that are for people for grieving. I think there was one comment or two that I wanted to highlight, but just there's a bunch of thank yous out there for joining us and just giving us your word and being here. So thank you so much, Joanna, for that. I think that's it, Taj. We will be back, everyone, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Taj, am I missing anything? No?
No, just I'm excited to see what the future holds for. I know
Yeah,
you're gonna
more
write more
books.
beautiful stuff. So
More books. Take your time, but we would love to see more books. And whenever you do have those books, just know that you're always welcome here to share it with our community. And again, thank you so much, Joanna, for being our guest.
yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Please be safe. And that's it. Adios, everyone.
Thank
And take care. You want to say something, Joanna?
I just want to say thank you for having me.
Oh,
Thank you, everybody, for the really heartwarming comments. That's really lovely. Thank
mhm.
you.
you are more than welcome. And thank you again, Joanna. Everyone, we will see you guys next week at Wednesday at 1 p.m. Thanks again for joining the Power of Love show. Bye, everyone.
Bye.